few things I've been thinking about of late are how important it is to communicate with our team and really have a vested interest in the success of their lives as leaders, and how that translates into essentially making a more successful business. So a lot of us believe that we're kind of in this alone when we're in leadership positions, when we're in scenarios where we have to stay up really late for 80 plus hours doing work weekly that perhaps someone else should be doing. And the reality of it is that 80 plus hours is duplicated multiple times over when we have people that trust us to show up and do the work, and they do the same. So I say to you in a very honest and heartfelt way, like, if you don't know how to communicate with people and find their inspirations and channel that and help build them up personally, professionally, financially as a leader, we're gonna miss their potential. We're gonna miss the ability for them to really do even more for a company. And what it comes down to is generating more revenue to be able to have stronger, more efficient, more visionary leaders actually join us in our initiatives. So you won't be able to satisfy the talent required for a CFO or a CEO position, or someone really oversighting an entire team without offering them a large chunk of change. And for many of us, a large chunk of change is anything beyond $100,000. And so I say to you that if you want to build beautiful things in this world, you have to start understanding how to make large chunks of change. Otherwise, the entire battle is so much more difficult. It's part of the reason why people say that it's so hard to get your first 100,000, that it's so hard to get your first million. Because it's harder to buy talent like that, to outsource, to have the delegation required to actually say, I'm going to move this needle forward, and to actually do it on a daily, if not weekly basis. So it's something I've been thinking about as I develop as a leader, as I have finished reading Teamwork by Natalie Dawson. Hopefully my team can put up the book in the descriptions. But the reality is there's fundamental business philosophies that are useful in every aspect of life. Because in some senses, business is an indication of human progression. And you might think to yourself, well, employees and, people that work their ass off and are not given enough, like, what's going on over there? And to that I say that not every company is that way. And I also say that, listen, there's levels to it, right? That employee, chances are the reason they're staying at that level is because they're unwilling to augment their selves, their personal lives, their pursuit of something bigger, something larger, perhaps more responsibility in the company itself. And it's a lot like the concept that if we reward people for staying the same, is that being fair to the person that is consistently trying to improve? Like, does that person get rewarded tenfold? Does that person get rewarded 100-fold? Does that person not get rewarded, or does that person get rewarded the same as someone that is staying the same? And so the argument that business and making money is not an ethical game, is that it's not a virtuous game, I believe is an argument based in fear of change and fear in the amount of effort required to become an even more valuable person in society. And so it goes both ways, right? If you're going to build a large company, build a large team, we got to have the vision. We got to have a very clear picture of where we want to go. But we also need to show up consistently and do the work and earn the loyalties and the work ethic, the personal prowess of the people that work with us to make that a reality. And we earn it through understanding where they want to go, but also being the person that goes out and hunts for the food, meaning bringing in the dough and making sure that the people that are helping us most are celebrated for helping us doing that. So it's something to think about when it comes to being in leadership positions. It's something that I've failed for many years, why I'm making this video and why I make videos in general is I want you to realize that the lessons from a year ago, I am learning, I am changing as a human being, and I'm proud of that. And at some point in my life, those lessons from a year ago made sense. So where some of the wealthy people in the world, some of the powerful people in the world will say, well, what do you have to teach someone? The reality is probably not much, because you can learn it all yourself. But what I really have to teach someone is there is tremendous amounts of money, pleasure, spiritual experience, novelty that comes with the pursuit of personal development, of waking up at a given time, of going to sleep at a given time. I know it's hard to do. I get it. Going to work on a Saturday, going to work on a Sunday, having those meetings, having a vision, actually nailing the things that we're going to say. There's a lot of benefit that will come to anyone's life personally, professionally, financially, by investing in ourselves and investing in our ability to be better leaders and our ability to be that cushion, that catalyst for the development of other leaders. There's also another thing that I heard from Steve Jobs, said that one of the most important lessons that he took away from working at Apple was that he no longer looks at people in short term. He no longer looked at his team in a short-term basis. He looked at his team as they develop in 5 years or 10 years. Because if you want to go somewhere, sometimes it takes that long for someone to learn and change and grow as a human being. And if we ourselves as leaders aren't going through that or forcing ourselves to go through that, it's a lot more difficult to have the compassion for someone else that is forcing themselves to go through that. So, to a degree, what do you have to teach other people? You only have to teach other people what you have been through, what we have learned, what we have groveled through, suffered through. That is the only thing that we can teach someone else. So, if there's some marketing that you need to do for your company, if there's augmentations that need to be made in the systems, if there's all the shittiest problems, all the hardest problems in the beginning need to be tackled by the leaders. And delegation only works successfully if we know what standard we're trying to hit. Ideally, we would buy a company or be inducted into the leadership of a group that already has these components. But in order to see efficiency, we need to basically understand what it is that a role requires and the amount of time it took to get that role really dialed in. Those are my thoughts on how to make powerful teams, because at the end of the day, if you can find two people that believe in what you believe in and you can motivate them to go about creating the vision that you see, you're going to be 10 times, 15 times, 100 times more successful than doing it alone. It's like a law of the universe. Threes are important. So I see it in music, I see it in aesthetics, I see it in artwork, I see it in really any large company. You're gonna see things broken up into groups. Any large successful company that understands human beings, you're gonna see things broken up into groups of 3, delegation-wise. So it's something to think about. Whatever initiative that you're on, whatever things that you want to create, find at least 2 people in your immediate environment that can be the people that you report to, that can be the people that are really pushing the entire initiative forward. And it will make all of the difference in terms of how quick you get to that pinnacle, that satisfaction, that accomplishment. Teams are important. People are important. We need them. And we need to know how to deal with them. And we need to know how to nurture them and foster those relationships. It comes with a series of essentially documents and a structure that forces interaction and accountability for ourselves and for our teammates. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Take care of yourself.